I'm Ali, I'm one of the physios from treatmyachilles.com. Today I'm going to be talking through some training errors, and one of the training errors we're going to be discussing is the boom and bust cycle. The boom and bust cycle is something you see very commonly with people with an Achilles tendinopathy. The boom and bust cycle is where you are cycling through being able to do activity and then having to stop and rest. So when you're doing those activities, on that boom period, you are hitting all of your targets, you're pushing hard, you're training harder, you might be going faster, you might be doing more miles, you might be trying things that you haven't done before. Then the bust part is the complete and utter opposite. It's when the injury or the pain and symptoms rear their ugly heads, make it really impossible for you to continue to train, so you have to completely stop and rest. Once that rest period is over and you're feeling a bit better, then you start back onto the training again. So this rest period, this bust period, where we're all sitting and waiting for our Achilles to feel a bit better, does that actually help? Does that fix our Achilles? No, it doesn't. What it does is just make it feel a bit easier. So if you imagine an analogy of a bruise, and think of that bruise being pressed on every time you go out for a run, after a while that bruise is going to be feeling even more sensitive, and that's waking up your body's alarm system. So that body's nervous system that controls our pain is basically our alarm system. So if you press on that bruise enough, it wakes it right up, it shouts at you and says, ouch, this is hurting. We continue to run until that ouch, this is hurting has got to a point where we can't do that anymore, and then we stop. And when we stop, it's like somebody not pressing on that bruise anymore. So it takes a little bit of time and that sensitivity calms down and everything starts to feel like it's back to normal again. But actually, nothing has changed inside your Achilles. If we think about what happens in your Achilles tendon when you have a tendinopathy, your Achilles tendon is made up of lots and lots of fibres of collagen, and they're arranged in bundles, and those bundles look like dried spaghetti, and those big bundles are next to other bundles, and that creates one big tendon. A few of those fibres in one or two of those bundles, not every fibre, not every bundle, has become a little bit disorganised, so they're not in those linear lines anymore. They're a bit more spread out, and that can give you the appearance of that swollen bump or lump at the back of your Achilles. So this bit doesn't change with rest. All that we know with rest is that that pain, that alarm system has calmed back down again, and then you start to run and things start to wake back up again, that alarm system kicks back off and you go round in a vicious circle. What do we know that does help and does change those collagen fibres? Well, it's strength exercise, and it's strength exercise mixed with something called relative rest. So relative rest means you cut out some of the activities by getting advice from somebody about your training program, about how to make things a little bit easier. So how do you know if you're doing this boom and bust cycle? How do you know if you need that help? Well, if you go back and look over your training program for the last few weeks, sometimes wearable technology or some sort of computer-based system or something that you have been writing down or a program you have been following would be easily able to be referred back to give you graph or data on things like your weekly mileages, elevation that you might have done, speed work that you might have done, the amount of training you've done each week. And if you were to then look back and think, oh, actually that week was quite a painful week, was that a week I've done quite a lot or I've done not very much? And this week was okay, was that a week where you've been predominantly resting and taking the pressure off that bruise, if you like, on the back of your heel? So if you have found that is what's happening to you and you've looked back over your data, then gaining advice on how to start to spread out that training program is a wonderful place to begin. One of the things we do at Treat My Achilles is look at that training program and see whether we can cut out just the really aggravating factors. And those aggravating factors means that we try to keep you moving and keep you running and doing the things that you need to do. This goes alongside a strength training program, and that strength training program is also specific to you and your tendons needs, and it is strength training that then helps to change what is actually going on inside your Achilles. Thanks very much for listening. If you'd like any more information, please have a look around our website or book a call with us, and I hope to see you again on another one of our Training Errors videos. Thanks very much.